Hi guys, welcome back to Show and Go. Today we're going to be swapping out the subframes. I'm really excited for this, that it took me about a month after ordering to get these parts. Still have the oil pan being made and getting sent all the way from Georgia from the company MiniTech. It's the same company that provided the conversion kit for Mighty Car Mod's Mini Cooper. Huge shout out to them. I love your show. But in order to do that, I have to change my shirt first. It's easier to work on and also for you guys to see. I'm going to take off the bumper and the fenders. I already unbolted them, so they should pop off. So let's see how smoothly this goes. Still got these corner ones in. Also, I'd like to thank Christensen Body Shop for letting me use their shop after hours. So I'll show you what we all need to loosen and remove to make this work. So my plan is to take off the wheels, remove the brake caliper so I don't have to worry about the brake lines, disconnect or undo the top of the struts, and all the bolts that hold it onto the subframe. After I do that, it should all just drop down. Something that I'm going to also do is depower my power steering rack. The Car Passion channel has a great video on that, and same with Beavis Motors. So let's take off this wheel. They're working on the air compressor in the back. That's what you started to hear at the last little part. So we're going to break these off by hand. The wheel's free flowing or free moving, so I'll show you how to take it off by being your own impact. So you just be explosive with your pushes down. Well, maybe I didn't put these on too tight also the last time, since I knew I wasn't going to be driving it anywhere. Look how rusty those are. I'm going to be getting different brakes and pads, upgrading to a more grippy compound. But that's what happens if you don't drive your car for like 4 months. Okay. Now on to this side. So next we'll remove the brake caliper, so that way we don't have to disconnect the brake lines. So we'll just take off the bolt there and the one other on the bottom. So just 2 bolts on each side, and we'll go from there. Hopefully this is an okay angle to see everything. I'm going to attempt to compress the brake so that way it comes together easier. Sweet, this worked. Normally I use like a C-clamp, but this fancy vice grip thing worked pretty good. Okay. Let's see how easy these come off. Ratalete Lucy. I'm gonna set this up here. I did not grab any wire. Okay, so I got it all wired up and hung out of the way. I just attached it to that spot where I think the fender liner connects to, because there's really no other place. How do you like my wire tuck? I may have to undo that or change it since I'm reconfiguring the wiring harness. But now to move on to the other side to remove the brake caliper. Next thing, I'm going to remove my sway bar, and then we'll clean that up, refreshen the grease, because it's been on there for a couple of years. And we'll also, when we take off my VMAX Extreme coilovers, we'll clean those and make that look nice. We're also going to end up repainting these nice and black and spray the whole wheel well with underliner, which is what I have sprayed on in this part, the dark black stuff. Okay, so I got the sway bar off and I cleaned it and re-greased it. It's looking prettier. Now I'm going to take off the power steering rack, so I'll have to drain it and then undo the tie rods. I'm going to undo it from the outer tie rod, right where this joint is, because my boots are torn anyway, so figure just going to replace those at the same time. So both are in pretty sad condition. So I'll take the rack and pinion off and we'll go from there. Okay, so I got the rack and pinion taken off and depowered. I took it all apart and greased everything. You can see, looks a lot better. That I ended up leaving the outer tie rods on. They were going to be a pain to get off. I'll replace them later. I just don't have the time to do it today. So the next step is to take off the 2 bolts on each side of the strut. So we'll do that now. So now that those are done, I'll show you what we got left to do to free up the subframe. So we can get to it. Kind of hard to see because it's dark, but right where my finger's pointing, there's 2 bolts on each side. And then on the back part, there are also a couple bolts. We'll show you on the new subframe. So you can see here, these are the 2 by the strut, and then there's one here and one there on the back part on both sides. This is what the new subframe looks like. That the engine mounts get bolted onto right here. And that's what the stock one looks like. It'll be interesting to see if the new one weighs a little bit less than the stock one. Hopefully you can see that a little better. I put my light on there. My camera does okay if there's good lighting. So, got this huge ratchet and breaker bar. I also put a jack underneath the subframe to keep it from falling. grab my other ratchet. My plan is to remove the whole hub assembly with the upper and lower control arms and just transfer it over. So hopefully that works. It'll save me from loosening a bunch of bolts. So these back two are 14 millimeters socket. So my camera cut out on taking out the other two. So I'll try to remember what I said. That there's these two back here that are 14 millimeters, and you'll want to save them because you use them to stick in the new subframe. That goes the same for the two above the strut. And I'd probably do these the four back ones first, and then do the two by the strut. So that way you're not laying underneath the car as you're loosening the subframe. Probably wouldn't feel so good if it fell on you. And for some reason, it is not fitting on here. And the side of it got damaged a little bit. This back bolt got damaged a little bit, probably from scraping. So my ratchet fits on there, or my end wrench, but it is snug. There we go. So I got the old subframe out. That actually came out pretty easy. I'm going to now undo these bolts up here, and then the ones that are down here for the upper and lower control arms. And my hope is I'll just be able to slide the whole unit off, slide it on the new subframe. So, but before I do that, I'm going to recoat the wheel wells. That way, as that's drying, I'm working on this. This is the stuff that works great. It's called Recoat, and it's waterproof, sound deadens, prevents rust, seals, and protects. So that'll be perfect for what we're using it for. Confident with spraying, you don't need to mask it off, but if you're kind of messy, then I'd probably mask it off so you don't spray what you don't want to. Make sure you stick it up good. And I like to wear a glove because this can get pretty messy. So, get this little guy out of the way. And this stuff is pretty sticky, and it adheres well. So you don't have to worry about if there's like you don't have to wash it. Make sure that you have like dirt chunks and stuff off, but you don't have to go through the tedious prep process that you do for normal paint. That looks pretty good. So now I'll do the other side and we'll get started on removing the upper and lower control arm. So to help speed up the process of removing these, we'll do the end cap. Top ones are 21 millimeters. Not sure what the bottom ones are yet. So I remember what order it is. Big washer, small washer, then the nut on that side. And I need a hammer. So to pound this out and make sure that you don't ruin the threads, put the nut back on a little ways, whack on the nut. Do the same thing to this side. Easy. And pull it up. Yeah. This one might need pry bar. Plan B, I guess plan C. The pry bar was a plan B. A punch. Hooray! So I got one side off, we'll get the other side off now. The nut is a 17 millimeter and the bolt is a 14. They're on there pretty tight, so I'm going to use a breaker bolt to get them loose. Make sure you don't lose any of these bolts or washers, that they're all important for the alignment. And after the swap, you'll end up needing to get an alignment as well. wrench and hammer. Hooray! Let's see how the weight compares. That's kind of heavy. Yep, the stock one definitely is a little heavier. I was going to paint these black, just so it looks nicer, but I'm running out of time today, and I need to get it finished. So, down the road when I replace these bushings, I'll paint them then. So your big bolt goes from the front all the way through the back, and you'll end up finding out that the space is too big. They give you a bunch of washers that are zip tied onto it. They're zip tied there from shipping. So you get six washers. So here's a better view of the top one. That there are washers that are provided from the kit, and to get the stock caster, you need to have 3 washers on both sides. And it's a fairly snug fit, so I'll end up needing to use both hands. But you end up wedging 3 washers in on both sides, and it'll give you the same geometry as the stock suspension. I'm actually very impressed with how well everything's fitting so far. That they did a good job. And if you look at the welds are pretty good too. That seems like it's all well done. I'm happy with it. So I'll go stick both these sides together, and we'll go from there. You stick this side on. That found if you just pound in the washers, that works the best. So you start threading this through, and you stick the 3 washers on for this side. Line it up. Stick the rod through. Then this one side, it's a snug fit for when you stick in the last 3. So I found I can stick in 2 of them, and then the third you kind of leave at an angle like that. Take your hammer and just gently pound it, and you can get it started. Then use your fingers to braze it from the other side. start pounding the bolt through the rest of the way. And occasionally tap those down to where it looks like it's supposed to be. And now I got those 3 washers on there. That lined up. And you put your big washer on, your small washer, and your nut. And then you tighten it down. I'm just making them snug right now. I'll torque them once I have it all installed on the car. Ugh, this is heavy. So I got it all lined up. So now all I have to do is bolt it all back together. I'm going to bolt in the top hat first, and then do these ones, and then make sure that the other side's good. And I'll bolt the top hat and the bolts down on the front part of the subframe on the other side. And then you'll repeat that same stuff on the other side. And then we'll get to the back 4 bolts. So now I'm ready to torque it down. I have all the bolts on snug, or hand tight. So for these front ones here by the strut, I'm going to torque them down to 95 foot-pounds. And for the back 2, 85 foot-pounds. But there's a range, I think, from like 71 to 103 or something like that for the front. So I'm just going to go to the happy middle of 95. And then you repeat that for the other side. So now I have everything torqued, the upper and lower control arms. The upper gets torqued to about 90 foot-pounds, and then the lower about 80 foot-pounds. And so now all that I have left is to stick my front sway bar back on and my power steering rack, which I guess now is just a steering rack because there's no power behind it. So I'll stick those on. I got it all put back together. That it probably took me about 6 or 7 hours to swap over the new subframe and the suspension onto that. And I also, well, maybe a little bit less, because I also depowered my power steering rack and then also cleaned and re-greased my sway bar. So it wasn't too bad. Got quite a bit done today. I'll show you what it looks like. That all the holes and mounting points all lined up perfectly. I didn't have to modify or adjust anything or drill out holes. So I think it looks pretty cool. That I can't wait to get the engine in there. That will be happening hopefully in 2 weeks. So that's all for today. That we're able to accomplish quite a bit. I got done what I wanted to, and some things took a little bit longer, but overall it took about the amount of time that I was expecting. That I'm super excited. In about 2 weeks I'll drop in the engine. My goal is to have this up and running and drivable by the middle of August. So let's see if I can get that done. Also, don't forget to subscribe. If you have any comments, leave them leave them below. And if you have any advice on how I can improve or what you'd like to see, let me know. I'm gonna finish putting on the brakes or the calipers. I'll put the wheels on, fenders, bumper, so that way I can move it out